It's the Happy Families Podcast.
We're a little bit more sensitive at this time of year as well because
we're so tired.
We're
and stressed.
tired and stressed.
We're supposed to be relaxed.
So none of us are at our best.
And now here's the stars of our show, my mum and dad.
Hello, this is Dr. Justin Coulson, the author of a whole bunch of books that would be fantastic Christmas gifts.
Oh, what a great idea.
Yeah, a bunch of books about making
Do you
your
know
family
my favourite
happier.
Christmas gift to give?
One of my books.
Yes. I love to give relationship rules because do you know why?
No, this is totally unscripted, by the way, but thanks for the plug.
It's white and red.
All right. It looks
And I
Christmassy.
tie it with a beautiful white bow and then I tuck in a little candy cane.
Yeah.
Red and white candy cane. It just looks so good.
It looks Christmas.
It looks so good.
Yeah, well, happyfamilies.com.au if you're interested. Speaking of happyfamilies.com.au, on Monday night, so every month, if you're a Happy Families premium member, or in fact a Happy Families member, we include in our memberships for you every single month a webinar about making your family happier, because a happy family doesn't just happen. And on Monday night this week, we did a webinar that might be interesting for everybody who is a little bit stressed about relationships, in-laws, aunties, uncles, cousins, everyone crashing at your house or you having to go to everyone else's house. You know, Christmas is funny. Sometimes we struggle a little bit with our relatives throughout the year, but we've got this romantic notion that we're supposed to suddenly be best friends with our entire family at Christmas time, even though we sort of struggle a bit during the year. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think it's a romantic notion or do you just think there's this inner hope in us that we can pull it together?
Yeah, we're designed to be connected, especially to those to whom we are biologically related. That's how we're actually designed. And so we kind of think Christmas is a time of coming together, it's a time of connection, it's a time of giving and healing and forgiveness and kindness and gift giving. And so we kind of think, yes, this Christmas is going to be better this year, even though we had a horrible year with the sister-in-law or with our brother who said that unkind thing or our mum who continues to be, I don't know, by the way, I'm not talking about your mum or my mum, but continues to be insensitive or whatever it is, the stepdad, all those sorts of things. We kind of just have this hope that Christmas is going to be a time of togetherness and we're all going to sit in the living room and smile at each other and talk about fond memories, eat good food, open gifts, say thank you to one another, hug and heal.
And you know what? Sometimes that happens.
It does.
And then
January comes.
And then Boxing Day comes.
Yeah,
and you're kind of, what happened? We had this awesome day yesterday and everything was fine and now we're back to where we were.
Sometimes. Anyway, we did a webinar on Monday night that I think can be helpful for any family that has tricky moments around Christmas and wants to get it better. And
well, I'm going to give a plug to Evelyn. She does all of our social media posts and just does such a brilliant job. She's on fire at the moment.
She is.
And she created these little ninja posts for your webinar and shared some of the things that you shared in your webinar.
Little ninja posts.
Ninja.
Well, they were little ninjas. By the way, we will
so cute.
We will repost that because it absolutely went off on social media. I think it was one of the most shared social posts we've ever done. We'll repost
I don't think you need to repost it.
No, we're going to repost it on socials so that everyone can find it because otherwise you've got to go back a couple of weeks. It's going to be there.
If you just go to Instagram and you just click on your link and
yeah, that's fine.
It just comes straight up.
But we'll
and
put it back on Facebook
easy.
as well anyway. We want everybody to be able to see it again. Okay, so there you go.
Look, I'm not even technically savvy and I know how to do that.
Well, I'm the boss and I'm saying that the team are going to put it back up on our social.
She's going to be cranky at you.
She's not. So let's talk about the things. There are 7 things that I've suggested in the webinar.
You know that brains can only take in 2 or 3, right?
Well, let's do 2 now and then we'll
Holy smokes.
We'll do 5 after the break.
Anybody who's followed you for a long time knows that you can't do it in 2 or 3. But anyway, the first one was create some structure.
All right.
What I love about this one is the fact that the reality is doesn't usually work out the way we want it to.
No,
There's always something going on.
So somebody shows up late or somebody forgets something like I'll forget to put the roast in the oven or something like that. Everything's cooked and suddenly we're like, oh, no, we've got no meat or whatever it might be.
So the most important thing is to have a schedule of some sort. Communicate it with everybody, what your expectations are.
Be flexible.
I don't think it has to be a minute-by-minute thing. No. But if you would like to have lunch at 1 o'clock, then it's just the house is open from 11. We will be eating at 1.
Yeah, whether you're here or not. Because you might have stuff with the in-laws. You might have stuff somewhere else, but be here in time for the 1 o'clock food. Otherwise, you'll miss out on the food. You might also say the general structure is everyone's going to show up. We're going to catch up, do a bit of prep. We'll be eating at 1, and we're going to do the family tradition stuff around presents or reading the nativity if you've got a faith background, or whatever it is that you do as a family on a Christmas day. We'll be doing that from 2 or from 3 or from 4. So everyone has a good idea of what the general outline of the day is. It's an expectation setting exercise, and it takes the pressure off.
Well, there's nothing worse when you show up somewhere and you kind of think you're going to be there for an hour and find out 5 hours later that you're still there.
Pretty annoying. Oh, by the way, if you're the host and somebody is late and things just aren't going to plan, have a couple of backup activities scheduled or ready to go. Like we're doing a podcast about favourite Christmas movies. Have a Christmas movie on standby. Have it ready to go so that if the kids are getting antsy, or maybe the kids don't play well with their cousins, or they don't want to share their new Christmas toys, and you might be able to say, hey, you know what, we've got that DVD. Remember when we had, maybe you've got a DVD lined up, or if you're
a DVD,
or if you're a modern parent, you might even have a subscription service and you can stream something. Have something.
Do you know our 7-year-old shared a story with me that she wrote the other day, and she was talking about this tape, and she looked at me and she said, you know, Mum, the tapes that you recorded the movies on and you pushed them into that machine?
Really?
That's what she said
knew what
to
a
me.
VCR was.
Yes.
Well, she didn't know what it was, but she knew that it was a machine that existed. All right, well, we've just dated ourselves.
Anyway, we digress. Let's go to phase 2.
Okay, practice acceptance is this one. And we talked about this at length in the webinar. The kids are going to grow and moan sometimes. Your partner might be apathetic or misaligned with your view. In other words, you might be like, oh, this is going to be so special. It's all about family. And they're like, hate it, can't wait for it to be over. Because that happens. I mean, let's be real about it. Some people really struggle with this sort of stuff. And if you can just accept that.
Well, Grandpa shows up and he forgets his hearing aid, so he talks at the top of his voice.
Yeah.
Or you have to repeat yourself 15 times because Grandma's not listening.
Because she's staring at a phone.
Whatever it is. And you can make a little bit of a game out of it, can't you?
Well, yeah, not in a nasty way, but let's just accept sometimes it is what it is. They are who they are. I think it's really important that we attribute the best possible motives to them. They didn't show
Family
up.
bingo.
Yeah, that's right. You get to.
How many times does Grandma not listen?
How many times does Grandpa say that same dad joke that he says every year?
Who's the first one to toot?
To toot. By the way, in our family, we don't say fart. We say toot.
Can't believe you just said that.
Okay. So they're the first 2 things. You know what? Let's do one more before the break because.
Phase 3, craft your joy. I just want to live in phase 3.
I really want to emphasize this, and that is that there are some things that are going to bring you joy at Christmas. And it might be involving your family or it might not. But make sure that when you're scheduling your Christmas day that you acknowledge the things that matter most to you and schedule an opportunity for it. So for you and I, there are a couple of things that I think matter most. We love morning hugs with the kids. On the Christmas Eve, we love to go to bed early with a book. And by early, I mean about 8:30. So we fall asleep by about page 6. We love to, after we've opened our gifts, have conversations about what we've been grateful for during the year. What has been the most wonderful gift that we've experienced in our lives during the last year? We make sure that we read through the nativity with the kids. Those are things that bring our family and bring us joy.
The kids love us watching them open their gifts. They actually love us to be a part of that and to watch their expressions and for them to be able to express their joy and their gratefulness and gratitude for the things that they've been gifted.
So I think that it's critically important as we go to the break that we recognise that Christmas, even if it does come with stress because the relatives can be cranks sometimes or grinchy, there are some things that happen on Christmas Day or on Christmas Eve or around the Christmas season that bring us joy, and we need to create the space, make the moments of joy and bliss happen so that Christmas does feel special, at least in those moments.
I love it.
After the break, a handful of other ideas to help you to make Christmas work for you.
It's the Happy Families Podcast.
Imagine a home where discipline got results without anyone having to feel bad or in trouble. The Do's and Don'ts of Discipline is a webinar to help parents set limits with love, compassion and humanity. Find it now at happyfamilies.com.au/shop.
It's the Happy Families Podcast, the podcast for the time poor parent who just wants answers now. And today, if you're feeling a little bit grinchy, then this podcast might be helpful.
How do we navigate the challenges of Christmas and relatives and people being in our space and, I don't know, somebody saying something insensitive, because that does tend to happen at Christmas when big groups get together, especially if you come from a family where there's a bit of wine or a bit of alcohol involved. Somebody can't help but open up their mouth and say that offensive thing.
I think too we're a little bit more sensitive at this time of year as well, because
we're so tired.
We're tired and stressed.
We're supposed to be relaxed.
So none of us are at our best. Where sometimes those things would happen and they just kind of brush over us, but in that time frame, we just are so extra sensitive.
Too right.
So phase 4 is to assume the best intentions.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of touched on this before, but let's just really drill into this for a second. Maybe your father-in-law is that guy who just says offensive things, especially if he's had a drink or two. And what he's saying might absolutely reek of political incorrectness. It might offend your sensibilities. And you might even be right, and he might actually be wrong. But what's actually going on is he's trying to share something that's important to him, and he believes that he's right, and he wants you to realize his wise ways. And the same thing happens when your mum shows up and is critical of what you're wearing. What are you wearing that for on Christmas Day? Or what you cooked? Why did you prepare that? It's too hot for this, or it's too cold for that, or the cooking, or the kids, or in their own clumsy way. Have you noticed that sometimes relatives try to be helpful by pointing out all of your faults and everything that's wrong with the way you're living your life? And Christmas Day's the day to do it. Like, it's clumsy, it's wrong-headed, it's inappropriate, but they're trying. They didn't wake up that morning and think, I wonder
how can I make...
how can I ruin Christmas? How can I offend everybody at Christmas lunch? Like, that's not what they woke up doing. And I think we've just got to assume the best of intentions. We can find our relatives far easier to stomach when we just think it's just who they are and they're actually trying to be helpful. They don't realise how much they're stepping in it.
Well, and I think the reality is, for a lot of people, being in each other's space in a really concentrated period with everybody involved can actually be overwhelming. And we say and do things that we wouldn't normally say and do because we're in that situation. But I think that you're right. It's a really hard one to do when you feel hurt by someone else. But if we can kind of just take a step back and recognise that they have a good heart.
Well, hopefully they do. I mean, my typical response would be shrug it off. But I think it's also important to just highlight, if this is a person who is a repeat offender, if this is a person who is a needler and an antagonist, if this is a person who has created pain and difficulty and horrible stuff in your life over the years, it might also be appropriate to just say, actually, we're not going to do family Christmas anymore. We'll have a phone call, but this year, Christmas is kind of cancelled for extended family. We're just having a Christmas together. I did that a few years ago, probably about 10 or 11 years ago, with my extended family. So I'm the oldest of 6 kids. And you'll remember this. I rang mum and let her know, hey, you know what? Our oldest child is now, I think our oldest was 11 or 12. We had 5 of our 6 children by then. I had one other sibling that had kids, but none of the other siblings had any children at all. And when I rang mum, I said, we're just going to have Christmas with our family this year. We might see you before or after, but Christmas Day, it's going to be our family day. And a couple of my siblings found out and they were incensed. What do you mean? It's Christmas. We're supposed to be together. They couldn't comprehend. A couple of years ago, my little brother said to me, I was so upset. I was so offended when you did that. But now I've got 3 of my own children, and his oldest, I think, is 9 or 10. And he basically said, I don't want to get together for Christmas. I want it to be my family. Like, things change. And so whether it's putting boundaries in place because you've been hurt or putting boundaries in place just because your family needs it, it's okay to do that. We've got to give people permission for that.
Number 5, find ways to serve others. This is a favourite one in our home. We love it. And Christmas time just provides a little bit more space for us to do it. But we love finding opportunities to serve.
Yeah. And I want to specifically highlight serve each other. So a wise mentor of mine once pointed out the bidirectional relationship between love and service. He said to me, you'll find that the people that you love the most, you want to serve. But the people that you serve the most, you tend to increase in love for. The more you do things for somebody, the more you actually love them. And I love that concept. I think that there's a wonderful opportunity for us at Christmas to find joy in serving our family. It might be just expressions of appreciation. It could be doing something really nice for them, doing things that bring you closer together and doing it without an expectation. And you watch the way that it shifts your heart.
When I saw this ninja come up on my screen the other day, I actually had this little thought because our kids love doing secret siblings.
Yeah,
And
secret sisters, yeah.
They just, well, we call it sibling now because we've got a brother-in-law.
That's right.
They can't be sisters. He gets left out. And I was thinking about how we could extend on that because they love doing the secret stuff, and wondered whether or not secret sisters could extend for a few days, and they have to try and do secret acts of service for each other and see who can do it without getting caught.
Just something amazing about serving your family and bringing everyone together. And it can really lead into the sixth idea that I wanted to share, which is Christmas is a time for healing wounds. And healing wounds usually comes through offering forgiveness. It comes through saying sorry. It comes through service and going out of your way to lift, help, and be good to others. And I know that it's a sensitive thing for some, but if we can swallow our pride and acknowledge our faults and say sorry, if we can make unconditional apologies, that may actually be the best Christmas gift that we can give to our family.
Well, number 7 was to serve a higher cause.
Yeah. When we come together with a common purpose, especially one that's deep and meaningful to us, we can kind of forget about our petty grievances with one another. Because families get caught up fighting about stuff that actually doesn't really matter that much quite often. And so in the webinar, we talked about different ways that we can find something bigger than us and make a difference in our family and in families of those that we know. We've seen people use Christmas as a time to donate to a cause together or volunteer in the community. Some families choose to just work as a family to decorate their home and yard with Christmas lights, and that brings delight and joy to the neighbourhood and everyone else from that local town or city where everyone drives past and says, wow, look at those lights. And of course, if you've got a faith background, once again, service through religious participation can also be really great in lifting our sights to something much bigger than just our family and just ourselves. It can really bind families and strengthen relationships.
Well, hopefully you found something that's helpful to help keep the cranks down this Christmas.
And if you'd like more info, just jump onto happyfamilies.com.au. The webinar is called "'Tis the Season to be Cranky: How to Handle In-Laws and Other Grinches." And there's a whole lot more that we've talked about in terms of navigating the trickiness of kids not wanting to play with their cousins or not wanting to hang out with grandma or grandpa or whatever it might be. The challenges around Christmas, it's all at happyfamilies.com.au. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Craig Bruce is our executive producer. We hope that this podcast will make your Christmas happier. Oh, by the way, something else that might make Christmas happier is to give one of our books to somebody that you love for Christmas, or maybe a Happy Families membership. You can buy one yourself as your personal Christmas present, or you can gift them to others. All of the information about the books, the Happy Families annual premium membership, and much more is available at happyfamilies.com.au.